This is our large bandsaw. A lot of the safety rules are very similar to the small bandsaw that we have already went over. The main difference is this thing's a lot bigger. So we usually have a bigger blade on it. Right now there's a very large blade on it for resawing, so it'd be cutting a bigger board down to smaller boards, usually thinner, cutting almost through the face of the board. But you can also cut some tapers with it. You probably just do really gradual curves, no drastic curves with a blade this big. So that might be something you need to discuss with me as you approach the bandsaw and you see a big blade on it. You might want to ask me, hey, can I make this cut on that blade? And that's a good thing to keep in mind at all times. The wider the blade, the less likely it is to be able to turn safely. You can pull the blade off the wheels and you can have some other problems. You can just snap the blade because you're putting too much pressure on it. One of the big differences with this bandsaw is we have a brake. So right down here you can step on the brake and that will help slow the blade down to stop it. So for like any machine in the shop, you want to wait till the blade stops before you walk away, so then when the next person comes up to it, they'll know that it's actually off instead of still moving. So that's really important as our class, our community in here, is that you have to remember to make sure the machine is actually stopped before you walk away. So over here's my safety switch. I can turn this, this is another push button that you push back and off, and then I turn it on, and I can make my cut. Now right now I noticed that my blade guides are too high. Okay, the safety rule is about 1/8 of an inch. The blade guides could be above the wood. So I'll use the brake right now. Real gentle push on the brake. You're not going to put all your weight on it. We've actually bent the drive shaft on this from people pushing too hard on the brake. So just real gently on the brake, and then it will stop. So now you need to adjust the blade guides. And if I'm going to grab the camera and bring you over here. Alright, so if you look at this real close, you will see that there is one knob right here. I need to loosen this knob first. And I even remind you here, loosen back knob first. I loosen back knob first because people have stripped this out. And then I'm just going to lower this down until it's about 1/8 of an inch above the wood. Okay, so it's not, I don't have to move it very far actually, just a little bit. One thing I worry about the most with the bandsaw is people removing the scrap pieces. So after you make a cut, do not worry about the scrap pieces, the cut-off pieces. A lot of times my students are obsessed with removing that piece of scrap. So what you need to do is after you make your cut, maybe remove the piece of scrap with a long piece of wood, something out of the recycling bin, or you could just wait for it to stop and then remove it. When you start reaching in here to remove your scrap pieces, that's when you're going to have a problem. Also, sometimes you get caught in this throat plate. If your scrap pieces gets caught in the throat plate, just stop the machine. Okay, don't do anything else, just stop the machine. This saw has a fence, not real accurate, but it has a fence. We don't usually do real accurate cuts on here. Then we have our table. We actually has a slot for a miter gauge, so you can put a miter gauge in here if you want. This whole table actually tilts so you can create some bevels, so that's really nice. So I'm going to fire it up just to make a warm cut here. Okay, so as you saw, we have a couple pieces of scrap right there that I would just wait and remove. With a blade this big, you would probably just make straight cuts with it, or real gradual curves. I wouldn't be making any really drastic curve cuts on this. So this is our large bandsaw.